Hi everybody, I'm Danny. I'm the social studies educator for Children's Museum Houston. And what I want to do with you all today is actually a Lego construction challenge. Now, if you don't have Legos available to you at home, there are different materials you could use for constructing your building today. You can use things like craft sticks or popsicle sticks. You can use straws. You can use toothpicks and marshmallows. You can even use index cards or playing cards. But like I said, today I'm going to show you how to do this challenge using Legos. And what we're going to do is we're going to try to create a structure that can withstand some different forces that might be put upon it. So if you've been to Kidtropolis, which is the exhibit that I'm responsible for, Kidtropolis is sponsored by Bank of America, and it is our city for kids, run by kids. And so kids actually have a lot of responsibilities in Kidtropolis. And one of the jobs that kids can take on in Kidtropolis is the job of city planner. So a city planner is actually responsible for deciding how the land and resources in a city are used. And that can actually include making decisions about how and where and what types of buildings are allowed to be built. So they're going to actually work with folks like civil engineers, and a civil engineer's job is to make sure that any building they design is going to meet the needs of a particular community, and to make sure that that building is absolutely safe and that it can withstand these different forces that might be put upon it. So a force, just to remind you, a force is a push or a pull, and a force on a building can come from something like simply gravity, or it can come from the weight of the building, either the materials used to create the building, but also the stuff and the people that go in the building as well. But it can also come from things like weather. Like if we have a lot of wind, that can put a force on a building. It can kind of push on different parts of that building at different times. And the ground, the terrain that we actually build the building on, because it can shift and move around. So we're going to be looking at a very specific type of force, and that's a lateral force or a side-to-side force. And that's something that could actually have an impact on a building in the case of an earthquake. Now, we here in Houston, we don't have a lot of earthquakes to worry about, but they do happen in different parts of this country and around the world. And so they can actually, civil engineers can work on a design for a building, and then they can actually test it to see how it would hold up in a simulated kind of a fake earthquake by making something called a shake table. So that's the first step for our experiment or our challenge today. What you need to make your shake table, you need 2 boards. You can pretty much use anything you want. You just want to make sure that they're sturdy and that they're not going to like bend really easily. So I just have 2 pieces of cardboard that I cut out from a leftover box. You could use 2 thin books that are about the same size and weight. You just don't want to use like a piece of paper. It needs to have some substance to it here. You're also going to need 4 things that you can use to go in between, kind of 4 corners. We need 4 like rubber balls, work really, really well, but I don't have any of those. So I actually ended up finding 4 beads that are all the same shape and size. You could also use marbles if you had something like that. But we just need 4 that are all about the same shape and size. And then you need a couple of rubber bands. Now again, I didn't have rubber bands in my house, but I do have some hair ties, and these will work just fine for me. So what I'm going to do to make my shake table, I'm going to start off with 1 of my pieces of flat board, and I'm going to try to put my 4 beads that I'm using in the 4 corners. I'm going to put this on top, the second piece on top, and then I'm going to rubber band around the 2 sides to hold it in place. Now the easiest way I found to make this so that the beads and the balls don't go rolling off is to start off by just wrapping your rubber band or your hair band around one side, and then opening up and putting 1 bead or 1 rubber ball, and then the other bead or the other rubber ball or the other marble goes in there. So now I've got one side done, and I'm just going to do the same thing on the other side. I'm going to stretch out my rubber band. I'm going to put 1 marble in this corner, 1 marble in this corner, And boom, that's pretty much all it takes to make my shake table. Now the way we actually test the shake table is you're gonna put one side really flat on the table, and you might need to sort of hold it down with one hand because we don't want the base to move. We just want the top to move. And what you can do is you can pull it away from you, and then when you let go, it sort of bounces back in place. I'll try it this way from the side so we can see it really well. I pull it to the side, and then boom. So that kind of simulates when there is an earthquake. It's because we have these tectonic plates under the earth that are sliding and moving past each other. And then every now and then as they're moving, one of them gets stuck and a whole bunch of force gets kind of built up, and eventually it gets unstuck and it goes boom, and it moves really, really kind of quickly. And that creates this seismic activity, these sort of ripple waves that of movement that this is meant to simulate. We get kind of that back and forth thing that happens really quick. So that's how we make our shake table. That's the first step. Now the second step is we want to have a Lego plate that can go on top. You can attach this any way you like. I actually tried it earlier just using the rubber bands themselves. I just sort of put this underneath my rubber bands. I just got them a little closer together, and that worked just fine for me. But here's another really easy way to do it, is just grab some tape. So now I've got this on the top, and I don't need to have this be really, really like, you know, super glued on. It doesn't have to be permanent. We're just taping it on for now. This is gonna be my testing structure. And now at this point, what your job would be once you've built this is to try out different buildings. All right, so one question you might ask yourself is, would a shorter building or a taller building be able to stand up to this lateral movement a little bit more easily? You might already have an idea. You may be able to take a guess, make a prediction, but we're gonna just try a little experiment out. Let's say I take this just kind of square or rectangular Lego here, and I set it right in the middle, and I'll get 1, 2, 3, and I'm gonna put a fourth one here, all right? And then I'm gonna do that side to side movement one more time. Ready? 3, 2, 1. Okay, that held up pretty well. I didn't see any movement. I could actually do it a whole bunch of times. That building seems to be in pretty good shape. But what if I wanted my building to be taller? Like I could add, instead of 4, I could have it be this many tall. I didn't actually count how many, but it's a lot taller, we can see. And we'll test it out again. If I do my side to side and I go, and boom. Oh, it fell over right away. Okay, now the thing about this is this isn't a very good design, right? Because I just have one big thing going up and up and up and up and up. I didn't give it a bigger footprint, like at the base. I could have made a wider base. I could have changed the shape as it was going up. There are a lot of things that you can try to change up your design to make sure that it remains stable even as it gets taller. So that's my challenge to you. I just want you to play around a little bit and explore with your Legos. See how tall you can make your structure before it falls over. If it does fall over, how can you change your structure to make it more stable so that it can withstand those lateral forces from something like an earthquake? Play around with your design a little bit. See what happens if you can keep a smaller footprint, which means you're not taking up the entire plate. You're only taking up a small space, because sometimes that's something that a building designer might have to keep in mind. So only taking up a small space, how tall could your building get? And if you were allowed more space to build your building, how can you change how you design it to still give it stability as it gets taller and taller and taller? Try to see how tall your building can get and still withstand these lateral forces. So that's my challenge to you. Good luck. Have fun building. I look forward to seeing you all in Kidtropolis again soon. Have a good day.